Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go-to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. Our next guest doesn't just break barriers, she paints right over them in bold, unapologetic colors. She is an award winning author, artist, and founder of Share Your Stories.Online, the global passion project spotlighting the humans behind the logos. That's all of us. So if you haven't gone yet, make sure you go to shareyourstories.online. She's the host of Business Mentorship, Keeping It Real, and in 2024, launched Marketing Grants, funding for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs just like you. With 2 books under her belt and a gallery of original artwork, she proves that success is both a masterpiece and a movement. Oh, and she's got the awards to prove it all. Please help me welcome the amazing Trish Tonaj. Welcome,
Oh,
Trish.
thank you, Angel. It's so wonderful to be here and to meet the folks in your network.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing. They're going to fall in love with you. This is going to be a blast. I already know it.
I know it too. I'm really looking forward to
Good. All right. So, something had to happen in your life for you to become the entrepreneur you are. Do you
it.
mind sharing what happened?
Sure. I started my first business in 1993, and I had been in corporate with a job. I was in C-suite positions. One was a national buyer for a major department store here. We had stores from coast to coast. And the other was the diamond mining company, De Beers. I was a retail consultant for them, helping entrepreneurs in Eastern Canada increase their diamond business. And those 2 opportunities were an amazing groundwork to build leadership skills and to connect with folks like you and I and everybody in your audience, and that is small business owners. So it really sort of catapulted me into starting my own company. I was part of that generation, when you were sort of last in, first out. It was during that turbulent time when we had just-in-time delivery and everybody was consolidating departments. And so I was of the age where I kept getting all these awesome jobs, but I ended up not being there for very long. So I thought, okay, we have to change this dynamic. So I took the leap of faith and started my first business in 1993.
Wow. That's amazing. So, well, let's go back to diamonds. Were you dripping in diamonds? Were you able to wear them?
No, I was certainly able to wear them, but you had to buy them on your own. So, in those days, it was just not part of the budget. I mean, I must say, once you start in that industry, you certainly develop a love for luxury brands and items, and I'm certainly no exception to that. I've certainly built a little bit of a wardrobe since then, but not at the time. No, I think I had very few diamonds at the time.
I mean, I thought they would just let you like loan them to you or something. That would be.
No. Every once in a while there would be a collection that we would be able to lend out to sort of folks within the industry that maybe were going to special events. And so if there was a special event every once in a while, we were able to wear some of those pieces, but they were really expensive. So, they certainly weren't going to let you jump on the commuter train and go home with a piece of that jewelry and, then come back to work the next day. So, yeah, unless we were going to a special event, there was no wearing the De Beers collection.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. I just could see that though. What a branding opportunity they missed out
Yeah.
on.
Well, it would have been fun, that's for sure.
All right. So, what would you go back, what you've learned in business and what you've done so far, what would you go
Mhm.
back and tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh, I don't know about you, but I've been running at Mach 2 with my hair on fire since I started my own business. And I think one of the things that you learn along the way is you really do have to celebrate the successes and the failures because they both contribute to the journey. I don't know about you, but I never seem to sort of sit back and really say, wow, that was awesome. I'm just going to coast for a little while. There always seems to be something else, another barrier that you're trying to break. But now in my, more mature years, I've gotten a little wiser, and I try to celebrate a little bit more often because I think I missed out on that in the beginning.
Yeah, you do. And don't you wish we would
Yeah.
have adapted that in our 20s? That would have been
Ah,
amazing.
it just would have made life so much less stressful, because I think you stress about everything when you're first starting, right? Oh, did I do that right? Oh, what's going to happen now? And I think if you just sort of give yourself some grace to let things happen as they should, would have made the journey a little bit easier for sure. And you have to remember, way back in 1993, there weren't very many female entrepreneurs.
Oh, no. We were
You
like
know,
taboo. That was
yeah, no
taboo.
kidding. I mean, I say, listen, when I'm out on the speaker circuit, I say I started my business when there were no laptop computers, there were no cell phones, and there was no Google. And that sort of gives away my age, and people kind of scratch their head a little bit and think, seriously, like, how old are you? But those were the days, right? When you had to do everything by hand. Like, computers were those big, huge desktops, and we just didn't have the modern conveniences that we have today.
So I was talking to somebody and they started talking about pockets of time. Okay.
Mm,
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember we used to go, like, when the kids were at dancing school, you would see all the women that were either selling something or entrepreneurs. They would go to the payphone outside, either the ballpark or whatever, and they would
yeah.
take those pockets of time and literally put in their quarter, remember, or dime,
So
whatever.
true. Yeah, so true. Yeah. And then even sometimes if you were on the road, selling on the road, you had to try and find a payphone because they weren't always readily available, right? When you wanted to make a call or you had this and you thought, oh, shoot, I forgot to go phone so-and-so, then you were looking around as you were driving the car trying to find a place you can make a call. So yeah, those were the days for sure.
Yeah. And I found hotels to be my friends.
Yeah,
Like,
they were the home away from home, right?
yeah. But I mean,
Hmm.
you could go in there and ask them to make a phone call back then, and they would
Yeah.
let you.
Yeah, for sure they would. Yeah, times were a little bit different, right? I think we were a little more open to helping each other at that time, and I also think life wasn't maybe quite so hectic. Where you didn't send an email and in 30 seconds you expected a response. There was a little bit more time. Talk about pockets of time. We had a little bit more time to live life and kind of fit the business into that schedule.
Yeah. Going forward, you now see the moms at the dance studios, at the ballparks with their phones working. They
Hmm.
don't even have to communicate out loud to disturb the world. So, I mean, yeah.
That's so true. Yeah, it's
I
so
mean, they
true.
were,
Everything has just gotten faster, quicker, easier. Maybe not as fun, but it's certainly the age and stage where we can communicate at the drop of a hat. That's for sure.
but aren't they luckier now? I mean, our day was a little bit laid back, but yeah, I think they're luckier because it is faster moving and they can make more money quicker.
I also think that maybe it's just a wee bit more fluid. Ours kind of stopped and started because I guess it's a blessing and a curse, right? You had to designate times that you were actually working and times when you were with your friends and family. And now it's maybe a little bit more fluid. But I can certainly see the pros and cons to both for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So let's talk about a game changer. What is
Mm.
something that you've done in business that actually helped your business grow that maybe you didn't think was going to work, but it did?
I would have to say I was having a strategy session around my 20th anniversary in business, and I started to think about the role of philanthropy and about mentorship and role models. And
Mm,
I really hadn't had a mentor. Role models were people sort of in the distant past that you could kind of make connections with by reading biographies. You remember the days when we had to go to the
yeah,
research library to read books.
yeah.
So I would consume books about female entrepreneurs. But I really started to think about this whole idea of mentorship, and believe it or not, reached out to someone who I had been introduced to, and after 20 years in business, asked them to be a mentor. And that really was a game changer for me because it brought some things into focus. Sometimes having an extra pair of eyes on your business from a distance is a really wonderful objective. And sometimes we get too close to what's happening on a day-to-day basis. And I really found that mentorship gave me a chance to sit back and look at things from a different perspective. So that really and truly, it actually not only made a difference in my business, but I ended up writing my second book about it.
Oh, that is key. What is the name of that second book? What's the name of the first and what's the name of the second?
So the first book is called The Diary of Change, 12 Personal Tools, and that's all about change and transformation for your personal and professional GPS. And then my second book is Breaking Barriers, 10 Entrepreneurial Women Share Their Stories. And that was really the tipping point for me in starting Share Your Stories.Online, moving into a whole new dynamic as a speaker, talking about mentorship and role models. And it actually made a really huge difference in the way I looked at the world, which was a really big shift and transformation at that time.
Working with all the entrepreneurs that you've worked with throughout the years, can you tell us like one myth that you wish they would stop believing? They would just kick that to the curb 100%.
You know, I think that every single entrepreneur I have spoken to has said, I wish somebody told me that being a small business owner isn't for everyone. Because, you know, sometimes you have a side hustle that you do when you have your job, and the side hustle is exactly that. It's that little bit of extra. It's where you spend a little bit of extra time. But when you pull that to the forefront and it becomes your main revenue stream, that sets a whole different dynamic. You know, I always tell folks, you need to have 3 Ds if you're going to be an entrepreneur: drive, determination, and discipline. And that is definitely not for everyone. I mean, I'm sure you can remember the days, Angel. You know, we were spending 60 hours a week, sometimes 80 hours a week working in our business just to get things off the ground and get things moving. And that's really not for everybody.
No. Right? And back then it was paper and pen. I mean, it was not like we got on the computer and was able to make it happen. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you literally had to walk or go drive and walk to where you had to do to meet people, to do everything. Yeah.
And marketing was so different, right? There was only traditional resources, which were extremely expensive when you were starting out. So there was TV, there was radio, there was newspaper, and there was magazine. And that was really it, other than doing networking events. I mean, now we have so many opportunities to get our story across and share what it is that we're doing on all these social platforms. I mean, it really is limitless in terms of reaching a target market. And in those days, it wasn't like that. You really had to look at things and be extremely strategic. I mean, here's a great question. When was the last time you wrote or revised your business plan?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, right? I mean, you couldn't start a business 30 years ago without a business plan, because you seriously needed a roadmap of how you were going to get to where you wanted to go, because you had a very limited number of funds and they had to go in multiple different directions. Whereas now we have so many opportunities with online platforms that maybe you need a business plan for a totally different reason, not to look at your marketing budget, but how you're going to manage the pockets of time.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
The pockets of time are the key. And I mean, yeah. Oh my God. You just hit on so many nuggets. It's not funny. So we've dealt with you balancing a business back when we had to deal with certain things. And now we're going forward and we're looking at, it's a little bit like fluid, like you said, but it's more demanding sometimes. So how do you balance that personal life with that business life?
You know what? I really and truly think you have to give yourself permission to take a time out. I don't know about you, but I've had a couple, burnouts in my career, and you see sort of the signs and signals of the things where things are getting out of control. And I also think something I've really started to do in the last 6 months, which I hadn't ever done before, and that is turning off the devices on the weekend. Come Friday at 3:00, I say, okay, the phone is available and texting is available, but all of the social platforms and all of that sort of thing is on silent until Monday morning. And the reason being is that if you don't, you're missing out on so much of life.
Yeah, you definitely are. You're missing on life as a whole. I mean, I know that I could sit all weekend with a computer on my lap
Yeah,
literally,
absolutely.
literally. And
Absolutely. And because there's so many things on the to-do list, and lots of us have downsized our companies so that we're more solopreneurs and doing strategic alliances with other folks, like-minded individuals, to help us get the work done. But that just means your own to-do list becomes more robust, right?
yeah, yeah,
And in order to take, I'm sure like you, I've sat, it's midnight, I can't sleep, and I think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go do that email, or I'm just going to write that, article, or I'm just going to, and then you pull out the computer, and the next thing you know, 4 hours later, you're like, oh, geez, Louise, I've been like on this thing forever. But it's just the nature of the beast, right?
yeah, yeah. It really is.
I think we really do have to try and take a time out.
Yeah, we do. Now let's talk about women they've been in business for a while. They're getting ready to throw in the towel.
Mm.
What is your advice for them? They're frustrated. I get it. We've
Yeah,
all been there.
oh, absolutely. We certainly have been there. Countless times throughout my career for sure. And you know what I've always done? As I kind of sit down with myself and I say, let's be realistic about what we're doing here. Like, let's reconnect with the reasons why I started this business. And if all of those reasons still align, then I keep going. And if not, then you either need to start over or change the dynamics of your revenue stream so that you can recalibrate where you're going so that you'll be successful. Because you know what? There's nothing worse than spinning your wheels. It sucks all the energy. It doesn't help from increase your revenue. And at the end, you will absolutely throw in the towel. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with recalibrating your business GPS.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
There's so many things happening in the economy, in your community, in your personal life. All of those things together affect how we look at our business. And the last thing that you want to do is create another job. You left your job so that you would have the flexibility and freedom to be an entrepreneur. Don't just redesignate yourself or pigeonhole yourself into another job. So I think that's really important. And I do think, the natural expansion and growth of your business is going to happen in one of those moments when you're ready to throw in the towel.
Yeah. And just like you're saying, just one little tweak can make a total difference.
Yeah,
That one little
absolutely.
tweak.
It can be the smallest thing will have the largest impact. And I really think that sometimes when we sit and we think, oh, I just don't think I can keep doing this anymore, it's because there's that little niggling feeling that you need to make a change.
Yeah, there
Right?
is. There's always that little movement, and it might be a big movement, and it could just be one little thing
Yeah.
that's got you
Yeah.
stagnated. And sometimes I find when you're like, okay, I'm over, some miracle happens too.
Yeah, absolutely. Or someone in your network will call and say, hey, Angel, I've been thinking about you and I wanted to reach out and have a conversation. And before you know it, you're brainstorming some idea. And then you're like, the light bulb moment happens and you're like, okay, this is exactly what I needed. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I call it the boom moment. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we all have them, right? That's what makes our businesses, fun and community-based and sustainable, is because we are adaptable to make a change. And I think that's really important.
Definitely. All right. Now let's do another bomb drop here because I want to know a
Okay.
sneak peek into what's going on in your world, if you don't mind.
Sure. So a sneak peek. Well, we started a grant program in last year for entrepreneurs, and it's called, and our tagline is funding for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And I would really love to see that initiative take on a whole new direction. We'd love to be able to have more grants with larger dollar values, bringing new people into our community who can help us with that funding. And I also think, I've had so many people in the last little while say to me, Trish, you have to have a conference. You need to have some sort of an event where you can get some of these global entrepreneurs together. Because of course, everything that we do is online. And there's nothing like that face-to-face, right?
Right. Yep.
So we're thinking of doing something really different, off the grid, in a boutique. I call it a boutique conference, where it'll be very strategic. There'll be some very specific goals and initiatives and deliverables for the event. And so I'm noodling that right now for a launch next year.
Oh, that's a must. That is definite.
Mhm.
I think that is going to have flip a switch on everything.
Right, right. Because everybody, we love these platforms. Let's face it. You're in your world, I'm in my world. We're thousands of miles apart. We have a great synergy, great opportunity to connect. But trust me, if you and I were sitting across the table from one another, whether it's a boardroom, a lunchroom table, a dinner table, the sparks would fly, right?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
a different kind of connection than it is here in cyberspace. So I think you're absolutely right. Getting some dynamic change makers together, to not only share stories, but to support and motivate each other. I think that's like pixie dust.
Ooh, I love pixie dust, by the way.
Yeah, me
I
too.
like it.
Me too.
All right. Unexpected. Tell us something about you that nobody really knows yet.
That's a really interesting question because nobody really knows that I am semi-retired.
Ooh.
So this is a passion project for me. It is not a revenue generator. The things that I do, we pour the money back into the grant program. And it really is started to be and will continue to be a passion project. So for me, semi-retirement has taken on a whole new dynamic because it's actually given more life and energy to the idea of being semi-retired. Because that in certain dynamics is not really something you would share with people, because people are like, how old are you that you're semi-retired? Like, what is it that you're going to be doing? Are you going to start knitting? Well, no, I've been an entrepreneur for so long. Not that there's anything wrong with knitting, and I can't knit, by the way. But I needed something. I really wanted to give back to the community of people who are really making a difference globally, because we all are making a small little difference in each of our communities. But I wanted to create something where we could support, motivate, and uplift each other. And that's really what the Share Your Stories community is all about.
That is true, because in every community, that's what it should be. But sometimes it's not. But yours is truly that type of community where you uplift so many people.
Thank you. Thank you. I love hearing those stories where someone says, wow, somebody found my story on your platform and now I'm doing this, right? And that's really what it's all about, because our obviously our website is free. It's not membership based. I always say I only meet awesome people because awesome people only introduce you to other people who are awesome.
Yep. One of my friends says, "Oh my God, I know her." She's like, "I need to go put my story on there." I didn't do that yet. She knew you, but it wasn't until there was a communication dialogue on me
Right.
promoting you to her. She's
Thank
like,
you.
I need to do that. And so, yeah, so that's amazing. I was excited about that, in how that word of mouth with
Yes.
people and
Yep.
that referral for other
Mhm.
people, how it just ignites a spark
No
across
kidding.
the
And,
world.
and I say there's nothing more important than a trusted referral, right? Because a trusted referral means you already know that they are, a legitimate business owner. There are some symmetries between how you think and how they think. There's some shared values, some shared goals. And so you get to really peel back the onion a lot quicker and get to the meat and potatoes of why you want to get together and how you want to collaborate much quicker. And I really appreciate that, because I would have never been able to build a global network on 5 continents if it wasn't for awesome people like you telling other amazing people about our platform.
Yeah. And I think we connected because someone referred you to me.
Yes,
So, I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome. All
yeah.
right. Fun stuff. Music. What is a song or songs you love?
You know what? I have to say that the artist that I go back to, and she's in the same age and genre as you and I, is Annie Lennox.
Oh,
I love her personal story. I love the basis for her career. I love the fact that she's tenacious and resilient and creative. And so whenever I'm interested in doing some dancing in the kitchen, I always go to Annie Lennox.
So I'm not the only kitchen dancer, correct? Because I have
No, no,
children, so I
no.
have to dance.
Yeah, you know what? There's nothing better, and it's a wonderful connection with the frivolity of life when you can laugh at yourself, when you can, turn up the tunes and just take, 5 or 10 minutes just to let loose and have fun.
So for me, that's while I'm microwaving whatever I'm doing or blending up whatever
Yeah,
I'm doing.
yeah, exactly. That's so true. Yeah, you combine it with the real life stuff that we have to do.
Yeah. I wish I could cook, but I really can't. If it's not a crock pot or
No.
microwave, it's just not happening.
Yeah, no, you know what? I spent far too much time in the business world to have spent any time in the kitchen. So, I can get by, but it's pretty basic food stuff for me as well. So, yeah, I'm definitely not, I definitely would not have been the person that has the cocktail parties or dinner parties with, the 12 and 14 people, unless there's the food's being brought in, because you definitely don't want to eat my cooking.
Mine would be bring your own dish.
Yeah, the progressive dinner, right? Happy to do that.
Always. All right. What about favorite book or books? We already know you have two, which you told us
I
about.
do. I do. Yeah. You know what? I would have to say, I mentioned this a little earlier about being in the reference library. And I really love biographies or autobiographies, the personal stories about how people went from where they started to where they go. Because you know what? We all think that that road is paved with gold, and it never is. There's always peaks and valleys and bumps in the road. And I think for me, what's really motivational is to read about some of those amazing women who have overcome personal barriers, professional barriers, community barriers. There's just been so many throughout the years. Those are the books that I really gravitate to. And I would have to say that for a role model for me, someone I have always looked up to because she did so many firsts in her career was Coco Chanel.
Oh, definitely. Oh my
Right?
God.
I mean, that woman broke barriers from the beginning right through, and even a comeback in her 70s, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So she's definitely a woman that I have admired. I wish that I had had the opportunity to personally meet her. When some people say, if you can invite anyone to dinner, dead or alive, who would it be? She would be the person that I would love to meet with, because I think she was a force to be reckoned with. And I would love to hear the personal stories, the person behind the logo. What are the stories behind the logo that she would be able to share? They'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, she would definitely have to go on your Share Your Stories.Online.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. That would be cool to have like a share their story from history type
Yeah.
of point of view.
Wouldn't
That'd be
it?
cool.
Yeah. The other one is Madame Clicquot, the one who kept the Veuve Clicquot champagne, which obviously, we all enjoy. She had, I'm sure you've seen the Netflix show, right? Where it sort of
I
talks
haven't.
about her. Oh, it's absolutely fabulous. So, and basically that's what it is. It tells about how she started and where she ended up. And it's really, there were a lot of barriers that she had to break, considering, the time, the pace and time that she was alive. And what an amazing story. So yeah, really quite another woman to be reckoned with, and someone else that certainly had a conviction and a vision. And she certainly went after that full force.
Wow. Okay. On my list to watch. I got it now.
It's really cool.
I love it. I love cool things about women that have overcome so many things. Because what we both do is we watch these women now overcome.
Yes, absolutely. And it gives you a little motivation, right? It's kind of like, if I can do it, she can do it. She can do it, I can do it, right? So when you're a mentor to someone else, that person is looking at you and going, wow, if she can do it, I could do it. And for us, looking to those people who may be role models or mentors, we have the same attitude. If she can do it, I can do it. And I think that's really what it's all about. We need to be there to support one another, because there is no such thing as the yellow brick road. Even though we would love to believe that there is, it's fraught with, some detours along the way, and some potholes and all of those kinds of things, that are the barriers we have to break in order to get to where we want to go.
And even on the Yellow Brick Road, they had all those barriers and everything as well. So it's not
Mhm.
always golden.
That's right. That's right. And maybe that's what the story was all about, right? Maybe in hindsight, that's really what that story was all about, was that, there is a roadmap to get to where you want to go, but the journey along the way is really what makes it unique.
Yeah. And it was about a woman. And when was that done? How long
Oh,
ago?
wow. Oh, geez. I don't know. Like in the 40s? Was it in the
Yeah, I think it's
40s?
in the 40s. So
I
think
think.
of that. Think of that. They
Mhm.
were trying to give a lesson back then.
Yeah, absolutely. The red slippers, right? Now we've got
Yep.
the Devil Wears Prada with the red shoes.
Love that show.
The
Love that show. Oh, wow. I can't wait to see 2. I think it came out.
sequel. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it
Well,
came out. I just have you watched it?
no, the sequel comes out, I think, in May, but did have the pleasure when I attended the Women Changing the World Awards in London, England in April, of going to see the play that was in London, England, called The Devil Wears Prada, and that was really very amazing as well.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
Mhm.
I can't wait to see the new one coming out, the movie. All
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So, quotes. Do you have some favorite quotes?
When I first started, before I even wrote Breaking Barriers, I used a quote on social media: be the person who starts a ripple that creates a wave of change.
Oh,
And then once I started Share Your Stories.Online, the next quote was: may your legacy create a footprint of success for the next person who steps into your shoes. And then when I started the podcast, and I don't know about you, but I was like one of those people who was absolutely fearful of being in front of the camera and doing the pod. It was a lot of barriers to break to get there. I started and used another quote called: we create a buzz about your biz.
oh,
And now, having been blessed to have won 2 awards for the Share Your Stories platform, our new quote is: together, we are making a difference, one story at a time.
I love that. Yeah. So, I'm going to be blunt with you because I love when people bring this up and most people don't talk about it. So, you know, everybody would probably say, "No, Angel, that's not you," but you brought it up, the green dot. I used to call it my kryptonite, like
Mm,
Superman, like, it just,
yeah.
like, I would just not do, and I'm like, "Okay, I can do that later."
Mm-hmm.
However, doing what we do here, I can do this all day long because I'm supporting other people. So I always tell people if they're having the green dot kryptonite, um, talk to other people and do a podcast or YouTube like this.
Yeah, absolutely. It builds your confidence, right?
It does. It
It for
does.
sure does. And when you first started out, I mean, listen, I did my very first podcast in the bathroom, in my bathroom, with the door closed because I felt the acoustics were better there. And now here we are. I mean, I'm sure that nobody knew that, but I just recorded the last podcast I did was 238. So, like you, I've done a fair number of these things now, and now they're second nature. But at that time, my God, I was like sweating buckets and I was so nervous and, tongue tied. I can remember, I think it was the first or second interview I did, I totally massacred the poor woman's name. And then I felt so bad and I didn't know how to edit. So it was live and you're like, oh, geez, Louise, like this is a disaster. So I was so glad that my name was keeping it real because I thought we definitely are keeping it real. I mean, it doesn't get more real than this. But here we are now, into my 6th season, moving into the 7th season next year.
Wow.
And now it's so fun because, you gain a lot of experience. You get the kryptonite, right? You say, okay, I can do this. So, and you start to have some fun with it. And then it really, you get your personality, the folks that follow you, and it's all about making your guest look amazing, right?
That's it. Making them have fun, look amazing,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
doing it for everybody else. Just know
Right,
that. I mean,
right.
but yeah, the kryptonite, I call it the green dot kryptonite. And most people say, don't say that. Well, it's a real thing
It is.
that I think that women need to address because,
Mhm.
if I go and just do straight on camera talk, there's just,
It's one
I'm like, I can do
dimensional.
that later. Huh?
Yeah, it's one dimensional, right?
Right.
And this is, it just has more so I'm going to ask you, you mentioned kryptonite. If you had to describe what your personal superpower is, what would you say it is?
Promoting others.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. Yeah,
Promoting
absolutely.
others.
Yeah, because you know what? It's a lot easier to talk about you than it is to talk about yourself, right? Like
100%.
it's easier for me to talk about Angel than it is for me to talk about Trish.
Yeah, and me, it's easier to talk about Trish than to talk about myself, because
Yeah.
then I think it's because most of us as women, we've been told, don't promote yourself, let others
Mhm.
promote you.
Yeah.
However, in today's world, we either have to promote ourselves or we have to go out to other people to get promoted on podcasts or
Mhm.
different things like that.
And I think that's why you and I do what we do. There's so many symmetries between your platform and the Share Your Stories platform. And I think that's why we do what we do, because promoting someone else and helping someone else breaking barriers to success really feeds my personal soul. And that's really what it's all about. I know how hard it is to start a business. I know how difficult and isolating it can be when you're the only one in your friend group who's an entrepreneur, right? Like you get it and I get it. So if we can just break one barrier for one other individual, and it could be male or female, because we do share male stories on our platform as well, and we do have men who apply to our grants. But it's just really all about, if there's one thing I've learned from sharing the hundreds of stories that I've shared, is we're all so different and yet the same, right?
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, we're all human. We all want the same things. We're all striving for really the same goals and objectives. And we are going to experience things at different places in time, at different times and stages in our career. And that's really where the mentorship and role modeling comes in, right? Because you and I can help each other overcome a barrier if we've already been there.
100%. And
Right?
I'm going to go back a minute, which you asked me. Thank you for asking that, by the way. Um, if I would have went back even a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I would
Mhm.
probably just say it was to help female entrepreneurs. I
Mhm.
wouldn't know that my true gift was promoting others.
Right. So true. So true. And I bet you it was a brainstorm with one of your colleagues or someone, maybe a guest like me, who brought to your attention that it's not one dimensional, it's multidimensional,
It is. They
right?
they tell me, Angel, do you realize that you're just a influencing cheerleader? And I'm like, I really am.
Yeah. I always say I'm cheering you on from the sidelines, right? Because
Oh,
you make a
shoot.
connection, right? You make a connection, you see them blossom, you watch them on social, maybe they attend your networking events, maybe they come to our, soon to be boutique conference, and then you get reacquainted and you go, wow, do you remember, the year ago, the 2 years ago when you did this, this, and this, and now look at where you are. And that's really
Mhm.
where the magic happens. That's the pixie dust, right, Angel?
Yeah, definitely. So,
Yeah.
Trish, let me ask you this. So, mine
Mhm.
was about a year and a half ago. How long was yours ago that you got to where you realized that you're really a promoter for others?
Yeah, I would have to honestly say it was winning the Leader of the Year for the Women Changing the World Awards last fall. And that's really when the light bulb moment happened. I was nominated for that award by another person who had participated in our platform, Shelley Goldstein, who actually lives in California. She nominated me. I had no idea that she was doing so. It wasn't until the organizers asked if I would allow my submission to go forward. And that was really the defining moment for me, because I thought, wow, I must be making a difference and having an impact more than that sort of singular individual kind of voice. I'm obviously having an impact in a multi-dimensional form. And that was really the light bulb moment for me, because I actually wasn't going to allow my name to go forward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
really didn't think that, I thought, oh, geez, there's so many more deserving people than me. And then I thought, it was such a compliment to have received the nomination that I thought, okay, well, let's give it a whirl and see what happens. And little did I know that I was actually awarded the Leader of the Year in the Americas through that organization. And that it was such a humbling and gratifying moment for me, that it's given me maybe a different level of confidence to step outside the comfort zone and introduce some more things into the Share Your Stories platform that I never thought I would ever do.
Wow. And so here we go, another shift.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of them happened about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think that's the beauty of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being open for the shift. That's the other thing, is you have to be open and accepting of the gifts that we're actually presented with, and really take a look at them from a different vantage point. And that's really the blessing in all of this.
Okay, I just love what you said. It's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of us have gifts that were given to us.
Yeah.
How are we using them?
And that's the magic, right? That is really the magic. Because if I was in corporate, I don't think I would be using the gift the same.
No, you wouldn't.
And maybe that's why I was like the bird pushed out of the nest, right? I always felt like I didn't belong in that corporate environment. And maybe that's the reason. You know, they say that there's strategic times in your life, changes, obstacles that you overcome that push you in the direction that connect you with the thing that you're supposed to do. Because each of us is here to make some sort of impact and leave a mark and a legacy. And I think that we have to be open and honest with those opportunities and see where life takes us. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty darn boring.
Let's get out of boring, because we don't like boring. And
No.
let's talk about a legacy or something unique. So if you had a superpower for 24 hours, one day, and hey, that would change your legacy of life, what would it be?
You know, I don't even remember the name of the cartoon character that used to have this. It wasn't X-ray vision, but it was the ability to see into the future and to be able to make a connection with that destiny. I think that seeing the opportunities that are available and being able to really dial in to that special gift would be amazing. We could just think of where we would be able to go if we could kind of see into the future and what the future holds.
That would be amazing.
It would be.
And when we know how to maneuver through, that would be so cool.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay, our energy sometimes runs low. I mean, I know you and I are pretty much up on top of the world. However, what do you do to stay motivated when that does happen?
You know what? I have to be really honest. I connect with people in our community. So, you will be a person, as an example, that I would say, reach out and say, Angel, I'm not feeling it today, or I've got this problem, or I'm really feeling like my direction is, gone all willy-nilly and I don't know what to do. You have to connect with the people, your inner circle, I call them, right? We all have 4 or 5 people in our inner circle that we use for motivation, and actually motivation on demand. So sometimes you come up with a little code word, right? Like if you've shared text messages before, you might have a code word that you use. And when you receive that message, you're like, oh, holy cow, I really need to connect with Trish. She's really looking for, and sometimes it's only 30 seconds that you need, right? You need 30 seconds to hear a friendly voice and say, listen, whatever it is that's happening, take a deep breath. Let's book a cyber connection later on tonight, and we'll talk about whatever it is. But just that friendly voice is the thing that gets you over the hurdle.
I think my code word would be cupcake. I need a cupcake.
Me too. I have to say, oh my God, that is so funny. If you could see in my office, I actually have a picture of a woman taking the paper off of a cupcake. Because a cupcake was really very instrumental at one time in my life. When I wrote my first book, A Diary of Change, 12 Personal Tools, it was some tremendous change and transformation. And I actually only ate cupcakes for about 6 months. So cupcakes have a pretty special meaning in my life. So there you go. There's another synergy and another connection with the cupcake.
Okay, wait. You literally ate just about cupcakes.
I did. I just ate. Everything else tasted like driveway gravel. The change that happened in my life was pretty transformational, and I lost over 30% of my body weight in 3 weeks. And I just couldn't get my mind back on track. And I literally ate cupcakes for almost 6 months before my body and my mind started to heal, and I could move on from the experience and look at world from a different perspective.
Okay, so I don't think that's bad.
No. I mean, probably wasn't ideal with all that sugar, but it definitely got me over the hurdle.
Coffee? What did you drink with it? What, just water, coffee? What did you drink with it?
Green tea. Green tea and cupcakes.
Really healthy and really
some antioxidants and then the sugar.
And you probably lost weight. So
I did. Yeah.
Oh
tremendous
my God.
amount of weight. Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
it was part of the journey, right? It was, everyone deals with stress in different ways, and everyone deals with life-changing events in different ways. And that was the best that I could do at the time. And so I can definitely relate to the cupcakes.
That is cute. All right. So cupcake would be my code word. So
there you go.
It might be yours too. All right. All right. What is the best way for our audience to stay connected with you?
I have, obviously, the Share Your Stories.Online platform has a contact page. You can certainly visit trishtonaj.com, which is where my artwork is located. I do try to return messages. We have obviously all the handles: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So I'm pretty accessible. So, if you reach out, I will definitely connect with you as well. So that's probably the easiest way, is through those websites.
That's awesome. And I think you have some resources that are available as well.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So yes, not only can you share your story on our platform, it's obviously complimentary, and it's a way in which we will help to increase your visibility as one of our core pillars for our platform. But there's also a digital magazine. So the Funding for Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs, each one of the folks who have provided funding for our grants has been featured in the magazine, either through a 2-page spread talking about them and their business, or an article for a topic trending in business. So by all means, go to our website, go to the magazine, and download your digital copy. There's a lot of active links there, and you can connect one-to-one with the entrepreneurs in the magazine.
And it is absolutely gorgeous. And I think your board told you were a little crazy to do that, correct?
They sure did. I had this idea over a year ago that I wanted to do the magazine, and absolutely every single person on my board went, "Oh, Trish, don't do that. That's way too much work. This is a passion project. You're not doing this as a revenue stream. We really advise against it." And I listened to them for about 30 seconds, and I said, no, I have to do it anyway. And they were absolutely right. It was a lot of work, and it did take a lot of time, but it was very satisfying to see all the smiling faces of the people who have been featured in the magazine.
Yeah. And it is gorgeous, guys. You're going to love it.
Thank you.
It is quite thick and gorgeous. So go see it. We already know you guys love magazines. So
yes, absolutely.
So Trish, I know you have a mic drop moment for our female entrepreneurs out there before we say goodbye. Do you mind sharing one last thing with them from your heart?
Give yourself the grace to make the mistakes, because it's during those moments that the opportunities are going to arise, and just take it in stride. Tomorrow is another day, and the next day will be more amazing than today.
Totally beautiful. Trish, thanks for being here. You're amazing.
Thank you. And I can't wait to collaborate, because I think we have so many opportunities to do so.
We do, because my brain goes wild whenever I think of you. I'm like, oh my word.
Thank you. It was really wonderful to connect with you and to be introduced to your wonderful, amazing community.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, Your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.